Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Andrew Davis, and you are watching Conversations in Pop Culture, brought to you by my sponsors, Mixum Printing, the smarter way to print. I know printing your creative project can be confusing and stressful, but Mixum is here to make it easy. From their instant quote calculator that lets you get as many quotes as you want, to their free 24-hour customer service support, Mixum is here to make sure your printing experience runs smoothly from start to finish. And you can choose from a range of premium printing options and materials. And the company has also printed many successful Kickstarter campaigns, a bunch of them you have even heard about on this very show. And they currently offer services in the United States, Canada, Australia, and the UK. And Mixum can print and read your audience anywhere in the world. So if you're ready to print smarter, not harder, head over to Mixum.com. And right now they're running a promotion where listeners of my show can drop my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of a current order to get a 5% discount on their first order. So that is mixam.com. Type my name, Andrew Davis, in the message tab of your current order to receive a 5% discount on your first order. Also, I am sponsored by BCW Supplies. So you can use code POPAnimeComics, that is POPANIMECOMICS, to get 10% off your entire order. So that means you get 10% off bags and boards, long boxes, Pokemon card holders, Magic card holders, coin holders, postcard holders, blue sleeves, you name it, anything with card collecting, comic collecting, or anything in between dealing with ephemera, you can get 10% off. And I know that I buy in big increments my bags and boards, and 10% adds up really quickly on what I save. So please feel free to use that, and you can use that code continuously with each and every time you order from BCW Supplies. So, without further ado, I have with me comic creator, writer, and artist Dachul Okamoto, I want to say. You're going to correct me. I know you're going to correct me.
Dachul Okamoto.
I knew I was going to get it wrong. I admit defeat. I will quietly walk shame after the interview. So welcome to the show, or welcome back to the show, I should say.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was getting excited over those promotions. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna start using those codes.
Oh yeah, please make my sponsors look good and make me some money while you're at it, because I need the money. So clearly.
Yeah, I just ordered a big order from BCW last week, so I was like, oh.
I like them. They're good. It took me a long time to come into them, but I'm happy that obviously it's an affiliate link, so I get an affiliate commission off of that. But I absolutely appreciate the fact that I'm in their program, and I know everybody needs supplies, but we're not talking about comics as much as I like to. I'd rather talk about Shotgun Samurai that is fully funded on Indiegogo. And I don't remember our last interview if you were just coming on to Indiegogo or if you were still on, Webtoons and Patreon. And I don't even know if you were on Patreon, but I don't even know if that was on the, mark at that point. So obviously, though, you are in demand on Indiegogo. And so what is that like?
Oh, well, it's pretty cool. I remember when I was here, I believe I was on the mailing list phase of the campaign. So I just had the list running. I didn't have the campaign going yet. But yeah, it's been a great experience, crowdfunding my very first comic book and getting the amount of success that I've been getting. It's honestly, I remember the first day when I first got like the contributions and the backers, it was just like such a rush. I was like, oh my God, people actually like my product. This is great.
Yeah, it's so weird because I haven't had this experience. And the closest thing I had was when you go out there and you launch your podcast, and then you get listeners, and you get one listener, and it's not your mom or your dad. Or
I know.
You didn't click on it, and it's not your friends. And then, the first 20, you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool with that. And still talking. But what winds up happening is that I was just getting my dog her food. She's looking at it very puzzled. It's quite amusing. It'd be way more interesting. I wish I could do this instead of my interview. Clearly, it'd probably get more views too, which is crazy.
I can't compete with the dog. I know.
She's a princess, and now she's sniffing it. But it's so distracted. But so even going into that, and going into the podcast, like when I got my first like 100, I was like, oh snap, people are actually listening to it. And I'd imagine it's similar with Indiegogo, where you're like, oh man, I just crossed $500. There are people who want to buy this because when you have one, it's like, oh, okay, maybe my mom bought it, right?
Yeah.
No, my friend bought it. But when you have like 20, 25 people buying it, you're like, man, I don't have 25 friends, right?
Yeah, getting into the random people territory. So,
And so obviously this was not my first question that I wanted to ask, but it's the best way how to start. So obviously going through that, and you are over 10,000, and so you're in the on-demand phase. I have to wait till I get my paycheck to hopefully back it, and hopefully it'll still be up. I get my paycheck in not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So I'm crossing my fingers.
I'll make sure it's still up.
Exactly, and I'll be there because I want that. I want a particular cover that I'm looking for because I'm actually excited for it, and it's going to be a fun one to read because this is like right up my alley. But having said that, this is my December backing project that I should really create the list. I back one project on Kickstarter and Indiegogo on both platforms every single month. This is my December one. Minus, I call it Audible because I backed some trading cards for $3, but I'm not counting that. Yeah, I'm letting everybody know that there's two, but one of them was $3. But what is the basic premise of Shotgun Samurai for those who don't remember our interview almost a year ago and really might not have heard about this, or there's a lot of stuff going on, or they just forgot?
I got you. So basically, the story of Shotgun Samurai, it's kind of like your classic tale of a samurai seeking redemption. He had a bloody past, did a lot of bad things, and now he's trying to turn over a new leaf and trying to help people and clear his conscience. And the most interesting thing, though, is his mysterious weapon, the shotgun. Nobody knows where it comes from or how he got it, but everyone calls him the man with the dragon sword because that's the only thing they know. That's the only thing they know to call it. So that's basic. That's the basic premise, and then we start off with him wandering through, and he meets his. I got what is it? I have a proof copy ready.
I have a bunch of copies ready.
Oh yeah, you got images. Yes.
But why don't you show the copy?
Yeah, because it's actually at the printers right now. It should be coming in soon. But yeah, that's the cover. That's this cover right here. So yeah, he meets Shotgun Samurai. He meets this guy, the ramen chef, and he reluctantly allows him to tag along with his journey. So he's kind of like the kind of the comic relief character. And then they meet up with Tofu, who's like who they've battled in the past, but now they have a common goal, so they're gonna work together. So it's kind of just like those three going on their adventure.
Trying to find a good tofu.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's
a good one.
Yeah. Yeah, she's pretty much.
I have everything in my files here. I got everything in my files.
Nice. Yeah.
So obviously, we spoke about this, and that's the basic story, and I loved the entire thing about Shotgun Samurai, and I said it to you the first time, and I'm gonna say it again, where it's got very much that 80s vibe to it, where this is like straight out of the 80s, and I don't know if that was the intention, but very much when I thought of this, I'm like, man, this is like an 80s cartoon. It's like Samurai Cop, for instance, where it's the idea that you're taking two things that should not work, that are completely not, I don't want to say not suitable, but you wouldn't imagine a shotgun with a samurai. I think it's a fair statement. Mm-hmm. And then you throw it into it, and then it's their adventure, and well, a lot of stuff's going on, and they there's enemies, and there's people teaming up, and all that stuff, and it's very cool because it's very pop culture-esque. And so where did all this idea come from? Because there's a lot of stuff going on, and I could easily see this being put out into Hollywood, and Hollywood making an absolute amazing action flick out of this.
I hope so. If you have any connections, send them my book. No. Oh man,
I
yeah.
may or may not have people that know people that might actually make this happen. So technically speaking, you never know. It's
All
just
right.
it's 6 degrees of separation because I know a bunch of people who are trying to pitch to Netflix right now with certain projects, and I'm more than happy to make an introduction.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, hey, there you go. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll throw you a little finder's fee. Why not? Oh man, but I guess to answer your question, where did the idea come from?
Yeah, because and I know I asked you this like a year ago, but obviously it's such a great idea where you've taken the classic samurai tale
Uh-huh.
because and then you threw the shotgun as a sword in there, and then it's just these 3 or 4 people's adventure, and we have a bunch of tropes in there, but then you also throw it up on its head a little bit where we're adding very much, I don't want to say an archery tone to it, but there's like long weapons now in place, and these people have to sort of think outside the box to deal with the shotgun samurai. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really just it's so great that you replace this one with a gun because I haven't seen anything like this before in the samurai era genre. I mean, I just had Ada on with Ozzy and Madison Hawthorne, and they take a very different approach to their book, and it's definitely not a gun instead of a sword type book.
Yeah, I honestly I always regard it as just like this that moment of like just inspiration, like the lightning bolt of just suddenly me and my friend were just joking around, and I created this character of a shotgun because I had a toy shotgun, and he had a the samurai outfit, the yukata, because he's Japanese, and he didn't have a character to cosplay as. So I just said, "Hey, I have a shotgun. Why don't you go as a shotgun samurai?" And he said, "That's stupid. That doesn't exist." And I said, "Oh yeah, it will now." And then that night, I just drew up 3 pages, and then I showed it to him, and he was like, "You can draw?" And I was like, "What?" And but we just thought the idea was such a great, we were like, we really like this idea. And then we just started like going over ideas and just like coming up with stories and adventures for this guy. And I love the idea of like, throwing that shotgun in like the traditional like sword like environment. It really creates like oh, now the bad guys have to get around it so that it's not just him walking up boom, shooting everybody. And it's like, and it would just be boring if he just shotguns everybody. So we got to come up with ways to like. So it's almost like we created the shotgun samurai, but now the creativity comes from creating villains that are interesting.
See, but isn't that the fun thing though about this entire book? See, this is what I like about it is that it's not that the hero is overpowered in this. It's the idea that we have a shotgun samurai and you have a gun. I think it's safe to say a gun's a long range weapon, but then he's dealing with an enemy in one of the chapters who is shooting almost a like super sniper arrow. And now the question becomes is that I'm trying not to spoil too much. I'm giving this a little bit away, sort of the story. The question is that, well, the shotgun can't hit him, that sniper guy with the arrow essentially. So now you have to figure out how to maneuver to get closer to the guy so you can hit him with your gun and still be a long range weapon. And then that spuns more creativity because a traditional samurai story would not have that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the other thing is like most of our ideas, they like I don't know, we like to come up with something just really funny, but then somehow make it serious. It's like me and my friend Matthews Bello, he's the other guy that's credited on the book. We always like discuss stuff, and then we just start laughing. Oh my god, then this happens, then this happens, then after that, then we sit down and it's like, okay, and then we put like the meat to it and like the really emotional aspect, and make sure it's very grounded and has a very serious tone to the. That's kind of our thought process, I would say, like when we go throughout this.
Yeah, isn't it though that also with this book in a lot of ways, because obviously I throw things at my friends and then they throw things back at me, and I'll throw a joke at somebody, then somebody will throw a joke back at me, and then something just starts creating, the ball just starts getting rolling. And it's very, very interesting when that happens. Obviously, when you talk about creativity and how Shotgun Samurai started out as a joke, I have a panel called Exploring Dystopia through Attack on Titan, Fahrenheit 451, and The Walking Dead. And that entire thing just started out with me and my friend just drinking and bullshitting. And I just threw out an idea. And my friend's like, that's kind of a good idea. And then I was like, oh, man, let me just roll with it. And then it's just that spark of creativity. And then you start throwing jokes in there, and then things just start happening. And it's just like the timing is just so perfect. And it's so weird when it's like the idea that creativity breeds creativity. And I hate to be like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's so interesting when that happens, when you're writing and when you're thinking and when you're coming up with a solution to a problem. This entire year's been that for me. So I know, like, I legitimately have had to be creative almost every single week this year. I've taken 11 days off this entire year.
Wow, that's
11 days off where I legitimately watch like 60 hours of anime during my time.
Nice. That's a good way to spend your time off. Oh man,
I don't remember like half of what I watched. It was terrible.
That's how anime is. You just binge it, and then when you're done, you're like, "What did I just watch?"
So I digress right there, but I do want to talk a little bit about this story because obviously we have the Shotgun Samurai who wants to right wrongs in his past and is sort of going on a realm of repenting in a lot of ways. And he wants to make his mistakes and correct them. And, obviously I think he's taken a few lives and he can't bring those people back, but he can also be better and do better and, prevent, certain death from happening and not necessarily kill innocent people or people who do not deserve to die. And what is that like to really build out his character? Because obviously we have that trope, but we also have the idea that he's also not completely like Rurouni Kenshin, for instance, who is a massively cold-blooded killer who's not going and then goes the complete opposite way. I don't want to say woke because Rurouni Kenshin's not woke, but it's the idea that Rurouni Kenshin goes from being a cold-blooded killer to going to being, I'm not going to kill anybody.
Yeah, absolutely no killing. That's yeah.
It's like going from one side to the other in a snap, and Shotgun Samurai is not there. So obviously there's still some killing going on. It's just a lot less, and even building that character out because we see samurai stories where there's a lot of killing going on. Vagabond's a good one. There's a lot of killing going on in Vagabond. And those samurais are not at all, there's no repenting in that world.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I try. He's definitely more in the, I would say, like, because he was, I don't know if you, he did do a lot of killing, but he always had like his code, like, don't kill kids. That's like something important. And I'll say like, what is it? And then
I'll give a good word is that his killing has had unintended consequences.
Yes.
So if you kill the father of a 3-year-old and that father was supporting the mother, that's an unintended consequence is a good example of that.
Yeah, that's kind of I won't go too much into it, but that's basically you're touching upon why he changed his ways. Basically, he's starting to see he saw the unintended consequence because he thought he was just going to be an assassin. Oh, I'm doing this for the good of my country because I have to kill these corrupt people who are doing bad things to other people. But then he's starting to see that, well, first of all, he's been lied to. They're not really bad people. They're just political enemies who are just, who are trying to help their people. And also there's unintended consequences of, he kills, like you said, like he kills a guy and maybe his kid, grows up, I actually made a, I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen the movies of Shotgun Samurai?
Yes, I've seen, I think like the first one. I don't know if I've seen the others.
Okay, that's why you're hinting on that.
The last time. yeah. The whole reason why I didn't do my homework this time is that if anybody wants to go through an in-depth whole discussion on this, they can clearly watch that one, and it's up. It's up. I mean, it's one of the early ones. You gotta go. I think we were like maybe my like 10th on the first season of Conversations in Pop Culture, and we went through like all of this stuff, and it wasn't as good as this, I promise. So this is a much me. I feel so much more comfortable live now. But nonetheless, I've seen I think the first one, and I enjoyed them. Don't get me wrong, like the first one, because I just thought it was brilliant. And
my weird, my crummy iPhone movies. Yeah. Oh my god, dude! Like it's so funny. Like a lot of these things just came out of like the reason I made that movie was to get out of doing an essay. Like my professor, he was trying to be like I guess cool, and he was like, hey, if you guys want to make a movie instead of doing a final essay, go ahead, make that. So I was like, I'm gonna make a movie instead of a final essay, and then we came up with that, and we were like, me and my friend, and then my professor was like, this isn't what I had in mind, but it's still good.
Yeah.
He wanted us to, just do like a diagram kind of thing, like, and this is this, blah, blah, blah. It was like a philosophy class, and he was like, this is this philosophy, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so that's why that movie exists. We were like, let's use this as to build the character Shotgun Samurai that we created. Yeah. But yeah, it was funny though.
That's so important. This industry has clearly gone off the rails, and we've now built a whole new rail station, and then it's gone off that one too. We should have just did this interview in space, and then we wouldn't have had to deal with rails in the first place.
Hey, there you go.
Clearly, if this was a movie, we picked the wrong setting. It shouldn't have been a Western. It should have been a space odyssey. Yeah. But even to go into that too, because going into the movie of this, I think that's so important though, because I had Roger Curtis on, and he just built a fighting game for his comic Dombe. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is that obviously I'm going down a different path in the entire, I guess, pop culture sphere, where I'm building out a holding company, because there's a lot more I could do with a holding company than I can do with just a podcast or a website. There's a million more things I could do with a holding company, like private equity into comics, actually, which is a whole different field. And some people love that. Some people hate that idea. Somebody made an entire video on that last week that I was mentioned a few times in, and is not a fan of that idea, and that's all right. It's not that hard to figure out who that person is, and I'm friends with that person too, and it's all right that people have different opinions on things. But that movie adds depth, though, to Shotgun Samurai in a lot of ways, because somebody says, oh, I can now visualize it, and oh, there's something beyond the comic out there, whether it's the greatest movie, if it's a short movie, or if there's like 9 of them, and they're maybe 5 minutes long, it adds a whole marketing arm that didn't exist before, because it's out on YouTube, and I think it's on Vimeo, or it's somewhere out in the entire atmosphere, that you type in Shotgun Samurai on YouTube, or you type in the samurai gun, that thing's going to pop up. Chances are it'll pop up if you type in Samurai Cop. It might not pop up on the first thing, but now what is that like? Because that's a big marketing arm in a lot of ways that's extremely passive.
That makes sense. Like,
I think differently than everybody else.
I see. Yeah, I've always wondered like where like a lot of my sales come from, and I'm just every now and then I'm just like, oh, someone backed. Oh, someone backed. I guess that could be where they come from. Just like
one of the things for me is that if I write a comic, I have a podcast that has 150 downloads and is doing anywhere from 900 to 1,200 plays every single week with me just tweeting out once a day on that show. If I attach Pop Anime Comics to that, that's a big marketing arm. In a lot of ways, that requires very little maintenance. And I have about 45 episodes that have to be released on that show. And then this is going to get into podcasting, and then I push this out. And every episode that I do on this gets anywhere from 200 to 400. Sometimes they get more. And so I'm at the stage where that if I ever do a comic, I drop my Kickstarter into this thing. It's a big marketing arm, or my Indiegogo, and it's very important that I think people need to understand. And I think that movie, it's not the end, thing, but it has to be a driver of some sales, because you type in certain keywords, that thing's going to pick up things, and then, somebody says, oh man, this is kind of cool. What else is out there? And then, it just sort of pops up on stuff.
Yeah. I mean, most of this was just what was it? When we first started, we were just kind of running off of just like excitement for like this character, because we thought it was we loved this idea so much, and then and all of our friends liked it too. So that's why we were able to get them in the movie, where all our friends in college were like, yo, let's do this. And they were willing to go out, because that movie was shot in the winter, and they were willing to go out in the freezing cold and dress up in samurai outfits. But anyway, and then
to even go further, because once you made the movie, is I think you had like 3 or 4 pages of the book, or maybe you had a little more, and then the movie came out, to avoid obviously writing an essay, because that's how it should be done, right? I mean, in a philosophy class, it wasn't even like an art class or like a movie class or like a political science class. It's like, no, it's philosophy. And then once that came out, what was that like? Because now, obviously, when you film a movie, I would imagine, and I haven't filmed a movie, but you get clarity on story, you get clarity on ideas, I would imagine. And then what was that like? Because it also says, hey, this kind of worked in a movie, and comics are closer to a movie than other media forms. And so what was that like going from there? Because that movie, in a lot of ways, I would imagine, solidified certain aspects of this comic and gave, direction, or it just gave even a confidence boost, saying, hey, if we can make a movie, we can make a comic.
Yeah, basically, that movie was where a lot of his, like drives and motivations really came from, because we had to dive deep into this character. We're like, okay, we have this character, but we don't know what he is or who he is. We just know he's a samurai with a shotgun. And the philosophy class, we chose the topic of redemption. So we were like, oh, let's somehow incorporate this samurai on a redemption arc. So then we were like, how do we do that? And that's when we really started to like build the whole character from the ground up. Because before then, all we had was him going into a ramen shop, burning it down, and teaming up with the chef. That's all we had with him before we got there.
And then you talk about that, because obviously they're burning down the ramen shop. And then George, which is just such an American name. It is such an American name. And it's not like a food name either, which is even better. And then we can talk about the ninja tofu in a second, because that's a great name too. But it's the idea that, he's very comedic relief, and that is such a manga trope in a lot of ways. But it's also great because the book has serious moments, and I've read a bunch of the chapters in it. Obviously, I think you send them to me, or I read them online, and from what I remember, obviously it's a serious book. There's shootings, there's difficult circumstances that are happening, dealing with people who are trying to kill them, or they're trying to kill somebody. And George also adds an element of comedic relief. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, right?
Yes.
In Full Metal Alchemist, they have serious moments, but then they also go into sort of an SD funny mode at the same time, and it's very well balanced. And your book does that with George in certain ways, where they're in a very serious moment, but then George does something in the next panel that sort of lessens the seriousness of it, but doesn't detract away from it. I think anybody who's seen Full Metal Alchemist B understands that. And it's a great skill. And so what was that like, really building out George as well? Because George doesn't take away from the serious nature of this, but it also brings the book down. I'll use a Richter scale. You could have a book that's a 0, which is sort of a very quiet, easygoing book, or you could have a very intense book that's a 10. George helps keep the book more in like a 7 or an 8. And when it gets to a 10, George brings it back down to a lesser heat. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I got you. Yeah. That's kind of how I treat him as well. Is like his I guess you can say like sometimes I get, when I get too much wrapped in my head of like, oh, this bad thing's gonna happen and this bad thing's gonna happen, and then it's like, oh, then when I look at it, I'm like, this is depressing. I need I need a reason for people to enjoy this book. Like, I don't want people to just feel bad.
Isn't that the thing? Is that I like intense books. I like intense stories, but I also want to come out of something saying, this was a sad story, but there's a reason why I watched it. Like, I like watching intense animes, sad animes. I like watching stories that have a happy ending. But at the same time, I don't want it to be just a miserable downward spiral. And I'm like Gurren Lagann, for anime-wise, was a miserable spiraling down thing. And I make the joke that if you watch Gurren Lagann and then Galaxy 999 back to back, you're going to kill yourself.
Gurren Lagann. I like Gurren Lagann. That's one of my favorites.
I mean, it's madly depressing. The ending. It's all the way to episode 9, and then.
I guess now that I think, yeah, you're right. He did like. Okay, I see what you're saying.
If you watch Gurren Lagann, like the end of Gurren Lagann, like everybody dies. It's horrific.
That's true.
Everybody dies, and then Simone marries Nina. And I'm rooting Gurren Lagann, and I don't really care because it's been out long now. And Gurren Lagann's a brilliant anime. I love it. I have it in Blu-ray. I bought it in DVD with all the special boxes, and then I bought it in Blu-ray again. It's that good. I own it twice, and I'm not selling either one of them. It's great. But my problem with Gurren Lagann is that it is mad depressing. I mean, Simone, pretty much loses his wife as soon as he marries her, and it's just, and from episode 9 all the way down, it's horrific.
Episode 8, that episode. Oh, that was hard. That was hard. That was hard hitting. I guess I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I just kind of always thought it was like, because they keep on triumphing forward and keep pushing and get bigger and bigger.
It's great motivational. It should be the motivational meme. You go on YouTube and type in motivational memes. They should just play all Gurren Lagann.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You don't need The Rock telling you to be like, hey, get up. You don't need a Navy drill sergeant SEAL master telling you to make your bed in the morning. You need to watch Simon from episode 9 all the way to episode 27, and then you'll be fine. Because if he can do it, anybody can do it.
Exactly. Oh man.
But that's the whole point of George, is that he's supposed to make it so that you don't have to go through the Gurren Lagann experience, and at least when bad things happen, you could have a sense of enjoyment or a laugh, or you could just enjoy comedic relief, because it makes it that a serious situation isn't as bad, and it's a real skill. It's a real skill because that shit can miss.
Yeah, actually, what is it? I don't know if this would be too esoteric or whatever to talk about,
okay.
But okay, the actual, because I came up with these characters in my philosophy class. Don't ask me philosophy now; I forgot all about it. But back then, I created them to represent actually the past, present, and future. Like the Shotgun Samurai is constantly going on about his past, like, oh God, I did so many bad things in the past, I gotta fix it. My past is terrible.
This is a Christmas Carol, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, basically. And then like
George after.
Huh?
Continue. I'll ask you a question after dealing with the
okay. And Tofu, she's always moving forward. She's always like, we gotta keep so I made her to be kind of like the driving, almost like the driving force of the team. Like, we got to go here now, because she's really hell bent on revenge. You'll find out much later that she's like really, really fuming, and that's going to be like the downside of like her character, is that she's like blinded by revenge. And then George, he's just the simple guy living in the moment, living in the present. That's why he's always happy. He's just enjoying the moment.
So I'm going to ask you a question. It's a bit of a tangent, but it might be relevant to Shotgun Samurai.
Yeah.
How many ghosts are in A Christmas Carol?
God, I'm gonna say 3, but
it's not 3. It's 4. There are 4 ghosts in A Christmas Carol.
what's the 4th one?
I have no idea.
Wait, why are you? How do you
I
know
was
there's
in
4 there?
trivia the other day because I participated in trivia and there's like Christmas trivia and I'm like, there's got to be 3 in this because I want to win, right? And it turns out there's 4, and I don't know who's the 4th one. So is there a 4th character in Shotgun Samurai in their team?
Oh man. Well, I mean, yeah, he's kind of on and off again. He
We
will
don't
join.
have to spoil it, but I thought it was funny because we're talking about philosophy and rooting in philosophy. I mean, A Christmas Carol is a very philosophical book, and it's one of those things where it's kind of funny in that regard. But that's a big tangent in a very very interesting way, and I don't want to go too further into all these characters and all that stuff because obviously there's a lot of stuff going on, and I thoroughly enjoy Shotgun Samurai, but I do want to talk about it being very much a manga because it, unlike Ozzy and Madison who were just on, they said their book was a more of a comic, and I think yours is definitely more of a manga. And so, what prompted that? So you want to do it in manga style and treat it more in a manga way because it is a different style. And I kind of like samurai stuff in manga. I don't know if samurai comics work in traditional comics. I don't think they do, and I don't think they're meant to.
Yeah, I haven't actually read a samurai comic. I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't read one yet.
The one that works is 47 Furious Tales by Sam Quinlan.
That sounds so familiar. Are those animals?
Yeah. It's an anthropomorphic.
Yeah. I've seen that floating around. Is that an indie book?
Yeah, that's an indie book. It's a good one.
It looks good.
He is coming out with issue 3, I think, either February or March, I want to say.
Okay, I must have seen like some promo for it somewhere.
His first Kickstarter didn't fund on the 3rd one, but the 2nd one will.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Yeah. I guess the simple answer as to why I did manga is because I mostly read manga growing up, so that's just kind of how my I guess my storytelling in kind of works. So and but it is written left to right like an American book, so you don't have to worry about going backwards.
So even to do this, because I'm a big manga reader and I enjoy manga, and one of the things is that I haven't read manga in a while though. I used to be a big reader of manga. It's just sometimes you just fall in and out of things, and I've been taking a break for about a year and a half now, and I got to get back into it. But one of the things is that manga right now is on fire. It's on fire in bookstores. It's on fire. On the internet, it's on fire, being pirated. I think manga outsold graphic novels in 2021. And so what is that like? Because I had Coffee Allen on, and I've had a few other people who do manga stuff. And, some people do American manga. Some people do hybrid stuff. Some people do manga style. But what is that like to be in that position with your book where manga is beyond popular at the moment? And people are really flocking to it, and people really like it. And there's a whole generation that says graphic novels are okay, but we want to go in the manga section. I was on Barnes & Noble Black Friday, and people had like 20 books, and they were super excited. And like there was like all these kids and older people too, and they were having like an intimate conversation in the manga section. And I was just looking at them. I'm like, oh my God, like this is so cool in so many ways because they're. And so what is that like for you to be, though, having a book that really fits this criteria?
Yeah, I think it's just like kind of a perfect timing. That probably helped a lot with my success on Indiegogo, was the fact that there is this kind of, manga craze going on right now. And everyone's like, it's really, especially in the American market, everybody knows manga. Everybody knows, so when they hear manga, they already have they have a very positive image. So I just say it's like a manga, and they're like, "Ooh, I like manga," and
And also, I would imagine, and obviously, you're West Coast, right?
Yes.
So there is, I don't know if you know the store. I can't think of its name. It's a Japanese name, but it's on Avenue of America, and it's a Japanese bookstore.
Oh,
And
in New York City?
yeah,
Oh yeah, I grew up in New York, so I know New York better than
so
California.
I don't know. It moved
Kinokuniya?
there recently. It's like starts with a K.
Kinokuniya. I know that place.
Yes, yes. Were you at their new store or no?
They shut it down? The one by Bryant Park?
Yeah. So no. The one at Bryant Park is still there.
Oh, okay.
That one is still there. Have you been to that one?
That's the one I usually went to, yeah.
So, because you know what's up on the second floor, then, right?
The cafe? Is that wait.
So, do you remember the mural by the escalator?
Oh my god. I'm drawing a blank on that one.
So that the reason why I bring this up is because this is also a very interesting point where that mural was done by the guy who did Vagabond, and its Vagabond is on the wall.
You kidding me?
So he flew in from Japan, and they paid him, or he might have done it for free. I don't know the full story, so I don't want to go misrepresent. But that was done by him on that wall, well, like the main characters from Vagabond.
No way, yeah.
And so as you're coming up, you see the samurai and you see it. And the reason why I only know that is because he has done one of my favorite series called Real, which is about wheelchair basketball. And before that, he did Slam Dunk.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of the artists that I follow, and I use to I study his artwork to refine mine.
So I think Real is actually better than Vagabond. Which is Vagabond is the samurai manga of all time. It's it's that and Lone Wolf and Cub. Mm-hmm. Those two. There's no competitor to either one of those books. But I think Real is better than Vagabond. And that's just my opinion. But when I say better, if you put Real, One Piece, and Vagabond in a room, One Piece wouldn't make it out alive. and One Piece is a great story. It has nothing to do with, it's just that Vagabond and Lone Wolf and Cub are in a whole different echelon. It's kind of like Astro Boy. You can't put One Piece up against Astro Boy. You just can't. You can't put Jack against One Piece either. It's not a fair fight for One Piece. It's just not. But the reason why I bring this up is that there are standards in samurai manga. And there is a echelon, and there is, I don't want to say protocol, but there is, a lot of respect in that field. And so you're not just in a manga field, you're in a very, very niche and very respected manga field where there are people who obviously go down this road. And I don't think having a shotgun is a disqualifier out of that position for you. I think, though, that you're sort of in something where you're hitting such a niche that people spend real money on this stuff, and people know a lot of stuff about that. And what is that like? I don't even know if you thought about that, because that's something that is a very interesting position to be in, because there's people who are doing American manga, and I've said that I'm talking a lot, but when you go into a samurai manga, whether it's American samurai, and I don't know if Sam Quinlan thought about this either, you're now in a whole different ballgame, because that is a subsection where there's a lot of people who spend a lot of money in that section.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, you're making me nervous. I never thought about that. Oh boy. But
this is why I get paid for my sponsors, because they recognize that. This is why I'm getting paid now, and I'm sponsored.
Yeah, I got you. That's cool. I just really liked. I really like, like the samurai story, and what is it like? And I like the whole like kind of feudal Japan system.
No wrong answer. No pressure. Yeah. Great. I'm so sorry. I was just watching Bill Burr's Ethan something on like the H3 podcast, and Bill Burr was like, "You're doing great, Ethan. You're doing great."
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, man. I mean, Like honestly,
It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm so curious now with this, and that, obviously it's just the thought pops into my head, and I'm because it's such a cool position to be in. Like, I don't know enough about samurai to do that, and I like samurai. I think they're cool. But again, I don't know enough about samurai, and I think it's just so interesting because I just know that people spend money in those sectors, and I know people love it, and who doesn't, love all this stuff, and who doesn't want to know? And being a samurai was cool in Japan.
Yeah, that's kind of like yeah, that's kind of where I just come from, like the aspect of just my whole life. I've just always really liked samurai. I never really dug too much into it, but I've always tried to be around, like, watch samurai stuff, or like, I'm Japanese, so whenever I go to Japan, I always like to go to like the samurai museums, see the swords, and kind of just like surround myself with like the images, because I just love the artistic design of like the armor, the way like the watercolor paintings. Actually, yeah, because I included a big watercolor painting in the very front of this book.
Yeah, I don't have a picture of that because I don't think that's up on the Indiegogo.
It's not. It's supposed to be a surprise for the book.
Good, you ruined it. Just like me, I just ruined the end of Gurren Lagann, so you get to ruin something too. So now we're at equal playing level.
There you go. Yeah, I got revenge. But so I kind of more come from it as not like more of a, I don't know how to explain it. Like I like to almost like,
you're not thinking it more along a business and breaking down. So I'll explain how I am, and maybe this will help. I like to break down. I like to know how things work because I'm running a business, and I like to know where I'm going to be advertising or putting things in place, or what I'm hitting and what data points I'm touching upon. A lot of my guests, and I hate to say this, there's value, and not every value is money, but there is a lot of things that go into it from a metric level. I happen to like a lot of the people that I interview, but I know that you're hitting a niche for me, where you have a samurai book, and I'm like, oh man, this is cool. There's people where I throw this up into a samurai group, and now I can bring them into my tribe. And I also happen to like your book. I also happen to probably back in your book. Maybe I'll put it on my credit card and I'll pay it next week because I actually want to get your book. It's one of those books that I think I'm gonna enjoy it, not as an investor, but as just a consumer. And I also want to put it on a shelf and keep it nice for a while, at the very least. But I view things metrically. And I know that not everybody views things metrically. People say, hey, look, I like samurai, and I'm going to spend the next 10 years writing something. I might as well write something I want to enjoy. And so I get that, or I just know a lot about this, or I have an obsession with it, and well, this is cool. And people like samurai, I like samurai, let's write a book about samurai. And then, oh man, we added a little twist and made it funny. So I get that. I don't know if that helps what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I guess because I don't really think of it so much in terms of like I'm writing a samurai book. I honestly, I think of these three characters, and I just, at this point in time, like, I'm in love with these characters, and that's why I keep writing. It's because I want their adventures to continue. And the fact that they're in samurai like world, that's just because I really, really like the aesthetic, and I like the themes that come along with it. So when people ask me like, oh, what year is it? I'm like, that's not important. Like, oh, who's like the emperor or whatever during this time? I'm like, his name is just Shogun. It's very much just like the samurai themes and like people embodying like the tropes, because that's not what is important. It's mostly important is the characters, these characters' growth and them on their journey. So
yeah, no. I mean, I get that. I view things slightly different than everybody else.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like good story. Don't get me wrong, but obviously, I just know that there are certain topics that, again, I'm going to go back to it, that people just dive into. People love sharks, for instance.
Yeah.
People who love sharks will talk about sharks And I got no problem sitting across from somebody at a bar and having like a 2-hour conversation about sharks, okay? No problem. If somebody's like a super samurai fanatic, no problem sitting across from them at a bar because it's not a contentious conversation and I'm going to learn something and it's a cool conversation. And I think it's just something that I know very little about samurai stuff. You know, I'm just hoping that G-Shock makes a samurai watch in the next 6 months, and I'm going to go buy it because that's cool. Because G-Shock has cool watches. See what I'm doing here? I'm giving product placement because I may or may not have sent out a advertising request to certain people. No, I didn't send out anything to G-Shock. Or did I? That's the question.
You're practicing.
I actually really do think a samurai watch from G-Shock would be dope, though. Like it'd be so cool. Like red Bushido armor. Oh, it'd be so cool. I wear that watch all the time. I'd advertise that for free if they did it. It would be such a cool watch. I already know. I want to design it. They're just really cyberpunk watches that are dope. This is such a bad interview. We're on like complete tangent level down the road.
It's my second interview. It's fine, I guess.
It's December. I already wrote off my entire month of December. I don't care. It's legitimately my 4th hour plus of interviewing today. And I accomplished the most important interview, the Cowboy Bebop thing. That was pretty good and enjoyable. And that I was pretty much sweating bullets for that I had no idea how to write. And I had like 4 people look at it too. And the interview's fine. Very nerve-wracking interview sometimes. But anyway, I digress. I just like talking about your book. That's the whole thing. I actually really like your book. That's the problem.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. It's I mean, I really like the book too. I've read it a few times myself.
No, I just feel like I hate this fucking book. Just like, Andrew, get me out of it. Like he's like tearing it too. It just throws on the floor.
I don't know why I spent like 7 years drawing this stupid thing.
and even going further, and then we're gonna get into rewards. I promise. One of the things that I think that people need to understand is that I don't think that you were making much money when you were drawing this. For obviously, you were joking around saying I just drew this thing for 7 years, but you've been drawing this thing for 7 years. And I don't think that you were making money on it for most of those years, and you weren't making anything that was substantial. And so obviously, what was that like? Because, and I'll just preface this because I'll tie me a little bit into it as well. I'm now making money as a podcaster and doing live streams, and I'm not making a hell of a lot of money, but that's obviously I'm on my 2nd round with Mixum. Obviously, BCW is an affiliate link, and that's helpful. But I'm now making money as a podcaster, but it took me 9 years to get here. So, I made money in other ways because when you're interviewing a lot of people in comics, you pick up inside information and you pick up trends a lot quicker. I don't want to say inside information because it's not inside information. It's more trends, or you pick up insights into things. But all that stuff was public. It's just that I got access to it. And when you're doing an interview and then you're releasing it a week later, obviously I get sort of, because I did the interview and then I release it later. So everybody else got information the same way. But it's the idea that it helped me as a comic book investor doing all those interviews for 7 years pre-recorded. And then in August, I got my sponsor of this year. So I know exactly what it means to not get paid for 8.5 years. And my first sponsorship went straight to paying my StreamYard for the year. And I got rid of a bill. So I didn't see any of that money. But I also got rid of a bill. And that's a big deal. People don't understand what that means. But what was that like? Because that's a thing that I think people need to understand, that you're now pulling in $10K on this, you're in demand. And now you're at a stage where you're pulling in money off of this. And that it's not a career change of money, but you're pulling in money.
Yeah. Well, basically, it's almost like hard to believe. Like, because I've been in such mindset of just like drawing, just in finding free time to draw, because just out of my own sheer passion for the story. And I had to learn to draw because my first few pages were really bad. So I had to learn how to draw, and I'm actually at the stage now that people are paying me for commissions. So like, and it's really exciting. I'm actually drawing someone else's book right now, and I'm rough drafting another book. So, and it all started from like just some stupid idea where I drew like, I don't know if I have any. I can show you some. Maybe I'll show it later. But and like, it's almost feels like I would celebrate, but I'm so tired.
See, I'm not at the stage where I'm drafting people's podcast shows, but I probably could do it if I really wanted to. Like, I could build somebody's show. I could build their infrastructure. And it's not even that hard anymore. It used to take me about a week to write a interview. It takes me about 3 hours now.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
So I went from working on an interview for probably about 18 hours down to 3. And that's because I do thorough research, but I also know how to do that work. And the point I'm trying to make is that I would imagine with comics, it's very similar, where, you're now at the stage where something that would have taken you a week to do takes you a day, or takes you 6 hours, or drawing actually now is becoming, I don't want to say second nature because it's just off the thing, but it's now becoming good. I don't know how to say that, and I'm trying to be not offensive, saying your work sucks. But my first podcast was horrific, no question. And why I'm angry with it is that I had my first 4 interviews. One of those, that person is no longer with us, and I'm like, man, I wish I could redo that person. Because now with what I know, how far I can push lines, the questions I can ask, the intellectual level, and even my confidence level, and because I wasn't as loose as I am right now. Obviously, we're joking around saying that clearly this should have not been put into the Western. I should have made this into a Space Odyssey interview. I wasn't there 9 years ago. So I would imagine that 7 years ago when you started, you weren't where you are right now.
No, yeah. Could I show my screen real quick?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just have these two examples of like my first drawing and my most recent drawing.
This gets into podcast form. I'm just going to say to everybody, I'm sorry that you can't see it.
Yeah. So this is my first like drawing of Shotgun Samurai, and this is my most recent. This is not Shotgun Samurai, but he is a samurai. So as you can see, like back then, I never even believed that people would actually pay me money or even for my book. I was just making them to show my friends because I thought it was funny. Most of the stuff I did was because like, wouldn't it be insane if I actually made a book? That's what I kept telling myself. I was like, what if I actually did it? That would be crazy. And I was like, I'm going to actually do it. And then like, I got like the first like 8 pages out, and then like my friends, they looked at it and they were like, oh, I guess it's kind of fun. Like they were like, and I was like, don't worry, I have stories in mind. You'll see. And then when I got the next like 20 pages done, then they were like, that's when my friends started getting invested into it. Like, wow, I really like this.
See, my friends are going to bet against me, and I know they're going to bet against me, and I'm going to bet against their bet. So I'm really going to be shorting them. So they're going to be shorting my book, and then I'm going to short my friend's thing, and then they're going to short the short.
There you go. I don't know what that means, but I assume it's getting money.
It's such a bad thing. Just watch The Big Short, and you'll understand everything what I just said.
I gotcha. Oh man, yeah. Like for me, most everything I do is just based off of like almost just like if it's funny. Like,
You'll appreciate what I'm doing in March. You'll really appreciate what I'm doing in March.
oh, okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I don't want to
Okay.
tell anybody. I'll tell you off air because you'll really appreciate it. I know. I know. If you have the sense of humor that I have, you'll
Mhm.
appreciate what I'm doing in March, and you'll just be angry you didn't think of it. People
Okay,
in
yeah.
March are gonna hate me on Kickstarter. They're gonna hate me, and I'm gonna love every second of it, and they're gonna be buying me a house, which is crazy.
Oh my god, yeah, I can't wait to find out. I'm curious, but
But I digress. I digress. So obviously, I do want to talk about rewards because you got a bunch of cool stuff going on.
Mhm.
So obviously, I want to show because there's only 3 covers, and I don't think you've added any new cover so far at this point, right? I just want to make sure I'm up to date. So
Okay, okay.
obviously, we have the Joe Ball cover, which
Mhm.
is the proof you have, and
Mhm.
so that's a cool one, but that's not my favorite. And that's not the one I'm going to buy. We have the manga K or Ka Adi cover. I
Manga
don't.
Odie. That was his handle back then. I think he's changed it to just Odie. He has a pretty popular webtoon right now called Tomahawk Angel.
I
And
don't spend much time on Webtoon. I should though. I really should. It's something that I need to get into because there is a lot of good stuff out there on it.
mhm.
I was trying to get somebody who's doing something on Kickstarter, and they're just not. They want to stay anonymous, and I'm like, legitly, you don't have to share your screen, and you could just be an avatar. Like, maybe I'll have to reach out and say, hey, I got this idea because it's like a little witch comic on Webtoon, and I'm like, it's kind of a cool book. It's kind of
Mhm.
fun, and person only has like 100, $200 on Kickstarter. I'm like, let me at least attempt to help them get funded, you know, because I like to give back.
Mhm.
But then this is the cover I really like.
Oh god, yeah, that one's so cool. Jose Garcia, like,
I don't know who Jose Garcia is. I don't really care because it looks awesome.
yeah, yeah. He used to work at DreamWorks, and now he's just an indie comic artist. And I reached out to him on Twitter, and I was like, I need your artwork on my book.
You're just like, hey, I got this book. Are you interested? Right?
Oh no, I was just like, yeah, I was like, hey, how much? I will pay anything. I want your book cover on my book.
See, isn't that interesting though? Because these are 3 different people, and it's kind of crazy because obviously, not to keep dropping me into this interview. I'm that type of guy. I'm extremely egotistical. But I reached out to Claudia. Yeah, I can't say her last name. She told me like 50 times. I think it's like Yanicello or Yanicelio.
Mhm.
I don't quote me on that, but I just asked her, and it's one of those things where with cover artists, isn't it just interesting? Like, hey, I'm doing this project. Do you have space? Are you interested? Or I need your thing, and I only need it in 6 months, or I need it in 9 months. Can you fit me in, right? And then the worst thing that can be said is a no, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, like, it's such a weird thing, right? I mean, I don't know. I haven't booked a cover ever, so I don't know exactly how it works. But what is that like? Because we're in an interesting space where there's a lot of talent that you can choose from at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the hard thing is finding out when they're open because most of these people I just kind of like just like watching their Twitters, and then every now and like with that Odie guy, he rarely does commissions. And he just said, hey, I'm gonna take 3 commissions this month. And I was like, I just messaged him and I was like, I want one of those. How much? That's usually how I just reach out to these people. Like, hey, you doing commissions? And then like if they say yes, I'm like, how much? Because they also want to know that you're willing to pay. Because like they don't want to think that like, oh, I'll give you like 10% of my profits or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. So. I mean, I like to pay my artists. I
Oh
also
yeah.
I'm going to be booking something with my Kickstarter that's going to involve a cover to some degree, and I'm going to slightly try to figure out an arrangement to maybe reduce it a little bit, where and it's tricky because some of these people are expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to figure out how to structure the deal better because if I want somebody who's a top person, I don't want to pay astronomical positioning, but there's ways how to structure deals that are better. And maybe I could trade ad space.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, if you have something to offer, that's true. Yeah, I mean,
Because that's something that can be very valuable,
mm-hmm.
especially if they have a Kickstarter. And I'll trade ad space that's saying, look, you got a Kickstarter 1 month long. I do 16 interviews. How about your next Kickstarter? You have a spot on my show for 16 ad things right in the bio, and maybe you can cut me like a $200 break.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's not a bad idea. I mean, whatever.
It reduces it, and if the person has a $1,200 position and brings it down to $1,000, it's not. I'm not completely throwing you out of the wind, but I like figuring out things. Also, I want other things out of people who do work for me. Like I want you to put it on your Facebook wall, which I think is more than fair. If I'm still paying full price, so if somebody's $500 for a cover, I expect you to put it on your Facebook wall on day one of the Kickstarter.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of also what I look at too. Is like if the artist has like like a following or something that I can get some of their audiences. So like that's why I also pick the people I have, because they not the art is good, but they also have a following that I can attract as well.
I go a step further, and this sounds a little weird, but I also look at how they interact with their fans. And the reason why I do this and they interact with people is because I don't want an asshole fucking cover artist, because that reflects poorly on me. So I don't want to employ an asshole for me, because I don't think an asshole has a right in the comic realm, and I don't want any negative bad press. So if somebody acts like an asshole, or they're controversial, and they've crossed the lines with people, and they've attacked somebody, at a con, or they've done something, I don't want them in my business, because that hurts the business. You are a liability to the business. Yeah. This is a business to me. It's different if I'm interviewing somebody and they're controversial, because that is good for the business. But if you're working for me, that's different. If you're a contractor, you become a liability throughout the contract. So I'm assuming, so if I was to hire you, you are now a liability that if you go and you killed somebody, that affects my business. I'm being very honest.
I know, dude. I know what you mean. Yeah, I didn't.
People don't think like this.
Yeah, that wasn't at the forefront, but I definitely like the people who I follow. I definitely also kind of just naturally like look for artists who are also just like nice people, because I get turned off by that too when people are kind of just jerks and assholes on the internet. I get turned off from them, and I personally don't want to give them my business. So I guess
there are people in Marvel who I will not support. There are people in Comicsgate, and we're not going to go into too much politics, that I will not support because they're not good people, and it's on both sides. Now, I'm going to throw a name out there. Tom King has been very nice to me. I understand people don't like Tom King. That's fine. That's cool. You have every right to. But Tom King has been very nice to me. Every time I see him, he remembers who I am.
Oh, cool.
Scott Snyder remembers who I am. Now, there's people who have been nice to me and there's people who've been nice to me in Comicsgate. Like Baron was just on. Mike sent me a comic. Very few people have done that in my world. He's been very nice to me. So again, because those are good people. Now I understand some people don't like Mike, some people don't like Tom. That's fine. But my point is that I don't have a problem with either one of those people. When that's how I view things. And even there are people who will not be interviewed on my show. There are people who will not be interviewed because they're not good people. And when we go into all this, it's very important because I assume liabilities. When I'm just interviewing you, if you went out there and killed 15 people, I probably wouldn't take down the interview, but I definitely wouldn't interview you again. But I'll give another example. I don't know if you're a wrestling fan by any chance.
I don't know anything about wrestling.
So there's a company called Chikara, and a bunch of my audience knows this. I had Mike Quackenbush on. Mike, I don't know what Mike Quackenbush did, But apparently, Chikara closed. Chikara's a nightmare, and there are problems with it. Now, there's issues that Chris Levin's going through, and he's a ref. I like Chris. Chris follows me on Twitter. I'm friends with Chris. I'm supportive of Chris. I don't know what the fuck happened, but those interviews are not coming down, even though there's issues with those people. So my interviews don't come down, but am I going to interview Mike Quackenbush so quickly again? Probably not. Will I interview Chris Levin? Probably sooner than Mike Quackenbush. But again, I assume the liability when I do interviews. But I assume a lot less of a liability because you're not an employee of mine or in a contract of mine. I think it's something that people need to understand, and it's so complicated. But that's such a tangent of a position. I'm well aware that that's a big tangent. So everybody can sort of deal with that in that regard. But I love those 3 covers, and I think 2 of those covers are not great. And I think that final Jose Garcia cover just beats the shit out of the other ones.
I know it is the top seller by almost a third.
well, you know what you're doing for volume 2. Just 3 of those, and you'll be good. You'll be going.
I gotta grab him. Yeah, I know. So, I mean, he's so swamped right now. Like everyone's getting him. I found him before he like made a name for him. I mean, like right when he was.
People I've done that with?
How many?
Legitimately, like 1/3 of the people that I've interviewed this year are now big.
Yeah. Oh, hey, hopefully I make it into that third. But,
you don't think the person I just interviewed today is going to be a superstar in 6 months from now? Of course.
Yeah, I thought she's already a superstar. She did Cowboy Bebop cover.
Oh, no. She's just getting started.
Yo, give me your contact. I want to get a cover from her.
You should, because she's not that expensive.
Yo.
I mean, I don't know her rate, but I know she's not that expensive.
We'll see.
Like that.
Yeah. That could be my next.
I might be booking her for a cover. In January. It's her or Ivan Tao. Ivan Tao said he would do one, and Ivan Tao is busy as fuck. That's a fucking steal. That's a $750 play for me. That's worth every penny. That will legitimately put me on the map.
I don't know who Ivan Tao. Who's Ivan Tao?
Oh, Ivan Tao is so good.
Damn.
So good. It's one of my highest interviews that I put no effort into marketing ever. It's like the 3rd highest interview that had no marketing. The only people that beat Ivan were Dawn Mateague and JP Roth.
Mm-hmm.
So Dawn Mateague is Dawn Mateague, and JP Roth is Ebass's wife.
Oh, okay. I know Ebass. Yeah.
And I interviewed Ebass, his first interview back in 5 years.
Wow.
I'm a special individual.
Yeah, you get. Oh, I'm pretty honored to be on the same show as these people. Wow, look at that.
Ebass was on my other show. Just because that's just the way it went. Keith Harvey was on the other show, and Senku Manaki was on the other show, and but Dave Franchini was on this show.
Are you saying Mariko Tamaki?
No. Dave Franchini.
Oh, okay.
Dave Franchini was the publisher for Zenoscope, and I was like, I think he's the publisher now, but he was the editor in chief at Zenoscope. He got promoted because David Wall came in. I'm gonna get David Wall eventually. He's now working for Zenoscope, and David Wall is like Top Cow. Mm-hmm. He's like Top Cow royalty. And Aspen royalty. but I digress. This is such a bad tangent. It's clearly, I did not prep up. I'm supposed to be in that like indie comic vault, show like in an hour or two, which is horrific because I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Oh, you're going on Indie Vault soon.
Yeah, I don't have to. I'm not
okay.
for anything with them, so no pressure. And they don't dictate my schedule. I dictate my schedule, and I'll probably stop in for 20 minutes around like 11:30. So we got like an hour. But I digress. You should join me. I'll send you the link.
No.
Like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, man. How are you?
Yeah.
Really funny.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, if I'm not busy, but
I'm on the East Coast, so if I can make it, you can make it.
I know, but I just got back from work. Got things to take care of.
I had things to take care of all day, and I still got things done. But anyway, I digress.
Yes.
So obviously you had pretty much metal prints on internet, pretty much anything you want from this campaign. I think for the most part, right?
Yeah. That was the logistics of that. It was kind of a nightmare. I realized I should just give like 2 options.
I like metal prints. Zenoscope just sent me a free limited 50 edition metal print of an Ebass, so I
Cool.
appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I got one of them right here. They're pretty.
Yeah, that's how they look.
Yeah,
I
but it's
prefer
like
metal cards. I'm a metal card guy.
yeah. I was thinking about that, but I don't know. I wasn't sure if that would like be annoying to ship.
Metal
So,
cards?
yeah, this is my first campaign. I didn't want to. I'm
You know
being
what
very
a metal
cautious.
card looks like?
Yeah, they're like little
If you're
cards.
concerned about metal prints being a ship, metal cards are smaller.
Yeah, but I covered the shipping cost with the metal prints. So
Hold on. So how much is a metal print?
I mean, I don't want to say it in public.
No. On your Kickstarter.
Oh, how much I'm selling? Oh, at $35.
Oh, because you could do a metal card for like 15, and people will pay $15 for a metal card, and you could ship a metal card for like $4. And to produce a metal card isn't that expensive.
Next campaign, metal cards. You sold me.
Because I'm doing metal cards for my Kickstarter in January, and I'm actually having a collab this Sunday with somebody to do it with, and he's a cosplayer, so that's going to be super cool because I'm going to be launching him a whole metal card inventory that's going to make him a lot of money, and it's pretty much he's launching out of me, which is how I run things. Again, I run very differently, and I'm reaching out to another cosplayer who's right now not doing as well as she should be, and I'm going to see if she's in, because that'll really change the game.
I've been thinking about getting cosplayer, like finding cosplayers to cosplay as my characters.
Oh, I don't even care what this cosplayer. It's DJ Croft. He's not gonna mind me saying because I love DJ. DJ and me just get along, and very different backgrounds, very different growing up. He grew down south. I grew up north, and he's in Georgia. I'm in Connecticut. We slightly disagree politically, but we agree on a lot of stuff. And it's very, very interesting how you meet people and then I just say, hey, man, you want to do something? And it's like, yeah, man, what do you want? He was just on like a big Twitch show, and he was just at New York Comic Con as a guest. And like, it's just one of those things where I just reached out, and he is beyond fascinating. And I just want to give him an opportunity somewhere. And then I'm going to hopefully launch him a whole metal card thing so that when he goes to cons, he can actually sell legitimately and make bank.
That would be cool.
And then he could buy his boyfriend a big ring for their wedding.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
And then hopefully I'll get invited because I would love to go down to Georgia for a wedding. I think it would be a blast.
Yeah. Georgia's a nice place, God. I was just down there like in August.
I'm hoping if I make DJ enough money, I'll get invited to his wedding. I digress, though. But even joking around, because I know how much metal prints cost. What do you take me for, man?
Well, actually, now that I think hard about it, it's because I already was selling like I had like 4 cards attached to my campaign before I learned about metal prints. So
because the way you make money,
a new card. What?
Sorry. I was rudely interrupting.
Oh, okay, gotcha. No, I already had like 4 cards attached to my campaign at the time when I learned about metal prints. And so I didn't want to add a new card because I was like, there's already so many trading cards on my campaign. So I was like, metal prints.
Because one of the things that's really, really advantageous is that, and one of the things that I want to do, and where I think I'm going to really make money, is that I want to target metal cards to an audience that's already backing my campaign and adds it in as an add-on on Kickstarter. Because the shipping, if you have a physical book and people are adding on metal cards, then because if they're already getting your book, because your metal things are already add-ons, right? You can't just get a metal print by itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the metal print doesn't change the shipping.
Oh, okay.
Right?
I guess not. Yeah, it's not so much.
That's the whole thing with a metal card, is that this is where I was going with that entire discussion. This is what's really important, is that I like things that don't change the shipping. Or let's say that a metal card was $15 and it was an add-on, right? And let's say it changed the shipping by $1 and the metal card wasn't that expensive to produce. All of a sudden, if you lose 50 cents on it, but you made a $15 sale, who cares? Because you're moving pennies around for to make $15. You know, if you lose 10 cents to make $15, who cares, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So if the metal card changes the shipping by 50 cents, you're not losing any money in reality. You're just making 90% profit instead of 96% profit. But 96 and 90% profit is not going to change your bottom line. It's not 50% profit versus 90% profit. That's a bigger movement. But I digress right there. So obviously, talking about those trading cards, because that's what we really should be talking about. So obviously, I have this one right here. I have them all here, man. I got you covered.
Nice.
And then this is tofu, and I don't know who did tofu. This is, I think, you know, Shotgun Samurai stuff. I don't know. This card's in the 4, right?
Yeah.
And then there's I don't know if this one's an add-on.
That's an art print, actually.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I get confused because and then this is this an art print or a trading?
Oh, that's a trading card.
Yeah, I don't know if I have the 4th trading card now.
Oh yeah, it's that Jose Garcia cover.
Yeah. That's why I didn't put it in there, because it was already in there.
Yeah, because that was originally just a trading card.
No. I don't know everything. You know what it is? I got a lot of stuff going on, so I asked this, and very, very interesting in that regard.
Yeah, no, when I hired him to do art for me, I asked him to do that, intending to put it on a trading card. But then when I saw it, I was like, this has to be a cover. So I was like, it's a cover now and a trading card because I promised it. But so it's both. Why not?
And then obviously this art print is pretty cool too, and I think that's pretty much included with everything, right? So I would rather have that in a trading card, to be honest.
Yeah, that got added in way late in my campaign, so
metal card.
Maybe in the future. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
All right.
I'll tell you exactly how to do the metal card stuff too. You'll thank me in a long time.
Okay.
I know exactly the market to target with that too. Zenoscope fans love metal cards, so if you could get into like 10% of them, they buy it. That's how I got into metal cards.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, you got.
So that's my market. January, I mean, I'm targeting a very specific niche, and I am building a product for a particular client. And I have no qualms announcing it, because if I build something they want, they're going to want it because it goes right in their collection. And a lot of those people know who I am, and they're going to buy that metal card because they like me.
Nice. That's the best.
Because it's a family thing, and when you're on these streams and you're engaging and people recognize your name, you know, it's something that is weird, and I don't know how to explain that any other way. It's a very weird concept, but I digress. But obviously there's a lot of cool stuff, and then the coolest thing that I think you've done is doing this little bad boy right here, and I think it's a comic, right?
It's a 1-page comic.
But it's still it's so when you say a 1-page comic, what does that mean?
So basically, so this started off purely as a joke. Like a friend of mine on Twitter just came up with, he said, Nuclear Warhead Samurai is better than Shotgun Samurai. So then I drew out a page of what Nuclear Warhead Samurai would look like. And then months later, he said, put that on my campaign. I'll advertise it to my audience, and we can push your campaign to $10,000. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then I advertise it as like the revolutionary 1-page comic book will become free with every backing if we get to 10,000. And
So what does that mean? Is it just like the cover and then on the back side of it is the comic, or is it the cover, a page, and then a back cover?
yeah, it's there's a cover and a back cover, and then the inside is just going to be the artwork. So it's just going to be the cover stock folded over and stapled for no reason.
But see, the reason why I like this, and I'm going to bring up somebody's name into this. So I back a lot of projects on Kickstarter. I don't play the Yogoverse Kickstarter. I'm not a purist. I just want my comics, right? So Jamie Tyndall did something for the Miss Meow book, where if they reached a certain amount, you get an 11x17 print by Ash Matty. Now, you and I both know, and anybody who's been in the business, that producing an 11x17 print, the most expensive thing about that is the art.
Yeah.
Because if you produce them in even a limited quantity, it's not that expensive. And if you produce them in enough bulk, it's really not expensive. I know exactly how much an 11x17 costs.
Exactly. Yeah.
But why that stretch goal was important is that stretch goal cost Jamie pennies to produce without the art. Ash Matty was a little bit pricey, but I don't even think Ash Matty's that expensive, all things considering, when Jamie basically picked him up. I don't think I'm revealing anything that's a secret. What changed it is that he had to ship that print in a box. That's why that stretch goal was different. That stretch goal was something that it was the thought that counted because it added money to the shipping. So even though I wound up paying like $8 for shipping, I don't know if Jamie made money on the shipping. I don't know if he lost money on the shipping. He might have broken even on the shipping. But it's the idea that, all of a sudden somebody now has changed their shipping because they broke a stretch goal. And now that book did like 90,000, or might have even done like 100,000. So maybe Jamie could have taken a little bit off, and maybe he made, 30,000, not 35,000. But it's the idea that I think with this book in particular, it's the thought that counts more so than anything else. Because it's the idea that you're saying, hey, I'm going to just do a one-page comic and staple it and do the stupidest fucking thing I can think of. Like, no offense to you, but I think it's the thought that counts. And that's why I bring it up, because I appreciate, as a backer, because I'm going to do something that is just thoughtful and not necessarily that occurs me in expense, but throws my backers something that says, I give a shit about you.
Yeah. And we had a lot of fun with it. Like, me and my backers in the audience, like, we were always everyone was just joking about it, and people were spreading it, the word was spreading around about this one-page book. What's going on, So
I just appreciate when people do that. And then also there's this thing which can be added on to it.
Yeah. And the great thing is, I'm an artist myself, so I was able to just produce that. So.
And so again, I appreciate the fact that this thing you didn't have to do it. It's a lot of work. It's kind of a stupid thing, but it's also getting across a big finish line. And I'm trying to be as very nice as possible, but this is such a ridiculous, like, maybe it's not stupid, it's so ridiculous. And it's over the top, but it's brilliant. And it also shows that you actually understand that you're giving back and you're doing something. And I think that's what people want. And this is why partially I wanted to have you on. This is we go back to cover artists and having good people working on your books and engaged in your team. And these are the types of things that I look for, where I say, what is somebody doing to give back? And what are they doing to make sure that their customers have a good experience? And I think that's something that is very much lacking in comics. And I think it's lacking, not to, again, get too political, it's lacking on the progressive left wing of comics and Comicsgate in certain people and in certain ways. And I think a lot of people are forgetting that the person who matters the most is not you, it's me, the consumer.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, I'm genuinely grateful for every single person who backs my book. So it's not hard for me to think this way. I'm just like, I want to make sure these people are happy, because they're, this is like my baby. This Shotgun Samurai is like my child, and people are actually want it. So I'm like, yes, I want to make sure you're happy with it because, thank you for supporting me and being able to make this and produce. I'm selling like 250 copies of this thing right now. So I'm like, I never dreamed that was possible.
And also, it's the idea, and I don't know how you feel, but this is how I feel, is that with my first show, I'm at 150,000, a little shy of that. Hop on my Comics Lounge, and I'm like, well, there are 150,000 people listen to at least 10 seconds of this show. I didn't think that was possible. And then I'm also thankful to every guest who's been on because I don't pay guests. And then even with this show, I mean, people have listened to at least 3 seconds of every episode. And I'm thankful to a bunch of people who are on. And obviously, I'm thankful to my sponsors, and I think my sponsors also recognize that I'm bringing them business. I know exactly how much business I brought them in the last year. And since they started, I know relatively the exact number. And I'm pretty sure they're happy with me at the moment. So that's the important part. Until today, of course. This is the day that they said, we're done with you, Andrew. You had Shotgun Samurai on. It was too much. One bullet to the head, too much.
Well, I hope I don't do that to you, but at least it was me if it was someone.
I already have the money, so it's all right.
They
paid me up front with not a contract, which is amazing.
That's pretty awesome, yeah.
But I didn't run, and then they paid me again without it because they know I'm not going to run because they know exactly where to find me.
Yeah. It pays to be trustworthy.
It's really not that hard to find. I mean, they don't know my address, but they know my website, my Facebook, my Twitch, my TikTok, my Instagram, my YouTube, my Rumble. Yes, I'm on Rumble,
Gotta be everywhere.
Hey, I try. I am not on Parler or whatever that is, because
wait, hold on. One second.
He's been summoned. Clearly. So this is basically this is what I want in a metal card, everybody. So go make my guest make this into a metal card for me. That's what I really want.
Okay.
I was just talking shit about you.
I heard. Yeah, how dare you? Yeah.
So I'm not on Paulo. I want to make that crystal clear. I'm everywhere else, just not there. I missed the boat. I was about to sign up, and then they got knocked off. So I blame myself.
It's okay. So hopefully next time.
I'm scared to come back because, me going, and all my loyal followers who will join me in the conquest will knock it off again. Clearly, I take full responsibility for that. It's all about me. So anyway, pretty much from there though, that I think we covered a bunch of stuff, and obviously I do want to talk about a few more things with you. And one of the things that I am very much interested in is where do you think comics are sort of going, and talking about cons and all COVID and stuff. I don't know if I lost you.
Oh no, I'm still here.
You're back.
Hey, honestly, I think.
So just to give you some context, obviously, you're on West Coast, but everybody knows sort of what happened at Anime NYC, where Omicron, a virus, somebody with Omicron broke out, and there's issues now with COVID, and despite Anime NYC having serious vaccination checks and masks, it still happened. And I know that San Diego happened, and nothing bad happened there that we know about, and Emerald City happened, but cons are not exactly working out the way they're supposed to. And even with all these extreme checks, there's issues. And I'm curious where you think that's going, and even where just comics are going with crowdfunding and all that stuff.
In terms of cons, honestly, I'm not so much. I was hoping to start getting into them with when they started opening up. So I'm hoping they continue so I can start selling my books there. But honestly, I don't know. Right now, I'm just like, we'll see what happens, because it honestly just depends on how people take it. Like some there might be people that just be like, let's just power through it, whatever. Let's just keep going. Or people might say, shut it all down. I have no idea. But whatever happens, I'm gonna just make decisions based off of that.
Because I'm in the camp, and I'm obviously I have a physical disability, and I'm more susceptible to things like COVID. So I'm just choosing to sit out for a while. Not sitting out of indie comics, not anti-indie comics. Obviously, I'm running this, and that's fulfilling a niche. So that's part of it. And then the other side of it is that I'm actually making money doing this now, and I'm following where the money is in my world. So obviously, I'm in that realm as well, where, that's the other thing with me. So for the time being, I'm not really interested because I find there's better opportunities. And I think that's something that people have to figure out as well, is the con the best opportunity? And I can't make that decision for anybody's business. And risk plus opportunity, and that's what I think it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of crowdfunding, like I've found pretty good success in crowdfunding. So I like, and it's much like, I don't have to go anywhere. Like I don't have to.
You could turn on Netflix.
Yeah, and like I don't have to. And it's like,
you don't have to see anybody.
Yeah, and the best thing is, it's like a pre-sale, so it's like I know exactly how much I need to make. Like, it's not like with cons, you have to have the product first, and then you go there and you hope you sell. But here, you sell first, and then you make the product. So I'm like, it's kind of like a producer's dream almost.
I mean, my Kickstarter is all digital, so the product is just digital. It's great.
Oh, that's nice.
with exceptions of like 2 or 3 items are physical,
like the metal cards and stuff.
Yeah, like I think I'm doing 2 metal cards, and then I'm going to be sort of producing a book. But again, I'm going to know the exact number. I mean, I know the exact number now. It's just a matter of how many I'm going to be selling, and then where does the rest go? It's pretty self-explanatory. But again, my rewards are all digital, and my pledges are all digital, and it's great because it makes 100% sense. And my Kickstarter is developed that way purposely, because I do not want to ship things. I ship a fuck ton of books every year because of my eBay business. Yeah. I make good money doing it. My average sale on eBay is $95, and my shipping is $11.
That's not bad.
I lose about $1 on shipping, but my profit margins and my profit is like 63% right now.
That's good.
I know. It's amazing. It really is. I know what I'm doing in this sector, and I have good months and bad months, but that's not the point here. So obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on with your project and your book and everything that's going on. And obviously, I want people to actually go buy this. I want people to go get this cover, or this cover. I believe it is $20, and I think your shipping is about $10. I want to say, which isn't bad. It's not bad. All things considering, I charge $11 on eBay, and that book will arrive pretty good. So it's that you get a bunch of stretch goals with it, or unlockables. I don't know what we call it on Kickstarter. And this is pretty much the first part of the story. And I know there's more coming with you at some point. Because this is far from done.
Yeah, this is far from done.
So on that note, though, I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself, because I got to get into that indie comic fold thing to shell out and promote myself. Do my 7th hour of streaming, and my voice is going to be hoarse tomorrow. Yeah. So where can people find the Kickstarter? No, not the Kickstarter. Wow, it's that type of day.
Indiegogo.
Where can people find you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that fun stuff? And then where can people support you beyond all of these things, because obviously websites and even reading, the entire comic on, other places as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess my hub is shotgunsamurai.net. There will always be a link to my current campaign, and there'll be a mailing list sign up. So you can, that will probably be the best way to get as any information is sign up for my mailing list on shotgunsamurai.net. And then on Instagram, I am Shotgun Samurai Comics. On Twitter, I am Donkey_Madness_. That's the name of my comics label, Donkey Madness Comics. And but if you search Shotgun Samurai, I'm like near the top of Google. So that's probably the best place. But shotgunsamurai.net, simple is the simple answer. And all the information is there.
For those who don't remember any of this, the link is in the description. It's an hourly link because Facebook does not like certain links, and they actually take off and kick me off their platform with certain links. But in an hourly link, they don't care. So it will bring you to all those links in those proper places. So click them, use them, and it's pretty self-explanatory. So that's something that I just want to remind everybody. And then I'm going to continue to say it, is that you have to support indie content creators. And what that means is you have to back their Indiegogos, their Kickstarters. You got to buy their books, because we are not Marvel, DC, Image, and all the money that is raised from crowdfunding goes into those books. And so when you actually buy and pledge to the book, you're helping making it happen, and you're helping making the next issue happen. So that's something very important to do, as well as follow people on social media, join mailing lists, because I get it, money's tight, it's Christmas, I get it, but if you join somebody's mailing list, that is just as important, and also sharing it out into Facebook groups, tweeting about it, Instagramming about it, and all that stuff, because that also goes a long way as well, because things aren't what they used to be in algorithms. As far as for me, obviously I am also an indie content creator, so please, if you're printing a book, use Mix'em. Obviously type in, Andrew Davis, you get 5% off your comic order. They print everything, so I don't know whatever you use, but if you're looking for a printer, Mix'em is pretty good at it. Also, if you are shipping out books, I like my books to arrive perfectly. So BCW has a lot of supplies, and you get 10% off your entire order, and you can keep on using that code indefinitely as long as I'm in their affiliate program. So please use that, because I do get a commission off of it, and it does help to support this show. And if you'd like to go even further than that, beyond just sharing out what we do here and what I do, because I'm the only one who works here, I work hard. I work very hard. You can actually buy me a coffee, and that's very much like Patreon. And you can buy me 1, 2, 10 coffees, and that goes a long way. All the money that actually is for buying me a coffee just is legitimately sitting in my PayPal account and hasn't been touched, minus my first sponsorship with Mix'em that helped to pay for my StreamYard for the next year. So all that money is just sitting there for a rainy day when I don't have a sponsor and I have a bill due, so that I can continue to go to seasons 4 and possibly 5 without having to worry about having monetary issues of having a streaming service to support what we do and to be on different platforms. And obviously, the more money I have, the less stress I have as far as just getting the base requirements for my business. So if anybody feels inclined to, feel free to do that. Otherwise, obviously just use my codes as well. And that's pretty much where I'm at. So I appreciate all the support, and I'm going to give you the final word.
All right. Well, yeah. Thank you very much for having me on. Thank you everyone for watching. Please check out Shotgun Samurai. I guarantee you'll like it. It's 288 pages. It's a huge book, so you will have plenty of reading material. Thank you.
And that is a wrap.